This is the Lessons in Positivity videocast. Here's your host, Scott Peterson.
Hello again, everyone. This week we're featuring volleyball with one of the greatest college volleyball players of all time, Mikaela Foecke. Like many of you watching, Mikaela grew up in a small town with dreams of playing at the collegiate level, but wondered if she would ever get noticed. Well, one of the greatest college women's volleyball programs in the country, the University of Nebraska, noticed her, and she helped take them to 2 national championships. Now she's a member of Team USA Volleyball with sights on the Olympics in 2021. You're going to love this positive athlete in this week's Lessons in Positivity. We're joined by 2-time national champion and from the University of Nebraska, a great volleyball player, also was voted the most outstanding volleyball player at the NCAA tournament 2 times, which I think has only happened like 4 times in the entire tournament, Mikaela Foecke. Mikaela, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
You know, you're also a member of Team USA Volleyball, but I want to take you back to when you're from a small town called West Point, Iowa, which can't have more than 1,000 people in it. And when you were growing up, were you ever concerned? I'm sure there are a lot of girls from small towns watching this will say, how do I ever get noticed when I come from such a small town? Talk about that a little bit and as you grow up, and how did you ever get noticed?
Yeah, so I'm from a town of about 900 people, and really I didn't know if I wanted to play volleyball, and it just happened to work out that I was in the right place at the right time and fell into the right coach's hands, and I was really lucky, and they just pushed me to go to different camps and to try out for high performance, and then eventually I started doing club, and just from there I began to get noticed. And I think the more camps you do, the more college coaches have the opportunity to see you.
So what other sports did you play besides volleyball?
Yeah, so I played basketball while I was growing up and softball a little bit, but mostly volleyball and basketball.
So did you find those other sports helped you kind of either decide that you really loved volleyball or that was what you were best at? How did you kind of come to the point where volleyball was king in your life?
Yeah, so I really loved basketball growing up. I actually did a traveling team for a little bit, and then it was like all of a sudden we started to play volleyball, and it was like, wow, this is really fun. I love this. And it got to the point where I had to decide if I really wanted to pursue it and play club, and I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else. And so I decided to do that, and ended up having to quit basketball just due to the time commitment to volleyball, but I wouldn't change it. It was a great choice, and I still love the sport.
Well, you've certainly done well in it, and you've been coached by a legendary coach in John Cook, and now you're being coached by Coach Karai, which I'm sure both of those two have very different styles. Or how would you compare the 2 styles of their coaching?
Yeah, Coach Cook is very hands-on and gets right in there and really just lays it out what he expects from you and what you have to do every single day to be successful in the program. And really, Karch is about the exact same way. Obviously, there's minor details that are different, but pretty similar coaching styles and just laying out the expectations and making sure that we know what we need to do.
Yeah, I noticed when I watch Nebraska volleyball that he's pretty calm. Coach Cook, for the head coach at Nebraska, seems pretty calm at least. Maybe he's not so much in the huddle. But did you ever have a coach get on you and kind of make you feel like, okay, I don't know if I'm any good anymore because the coach is really getting on me?
Yeah, I think that every coach probably gets on you at some point, especially me. No, Coach Cook always made sure that you knew your place and that if you weren't playing good, you knew about that too. And I think that that's always good. I think that it really humbles you to a degree and forces you to be better, not only for yourself, but for your teammates.
You know, some kids when they're growing up in middle school, and this is who this goes to, they get concerned because a coach kind of gets on them and maybe and they immediately go to, he doesn't like me or she doesn't like me. What advice would you give the kids relative to that?
Yeah, honestly, I would say the coach doesn't like me if you've never talked to me or didn't give me advice. If they're trying to make you better and giving you advice and getting on you, that means they care and they wants you to be the best player you can possibly be. And I think that that's motivating in and of itself, just knowing that you have a coach that wants to make you better and that cares so much about you.
You know, one of the incredible things that I've noticed about you was that you were really a good academic, all Big Ten academic with a 3.6 GPA, and so with the rigorous schedule, because you don't just play normal volleyball with people see, but also the beach volleyball. That's a rigorous schedule. How did you ever keep a 3.6 as you did all that?
I think just having a schedule and sticking to it and allocating time to do academics is super important. We're obviously student athletes, and so being in the classroom and getting your schoolwork done is most important. And then obviously excelling on the court is also very important. And so I think that just knowing that you have to balance those two and just finding what your balance is really important.
You know, in addition to that, you were also a diversity and inclusion summit leader. Talk about that a little bit, and what was the role of that while you were at Nebraska?
Yeah, so that was one of Nebraska's new things while I got there was the diversity and inclusion summit, just to try and diverse, obviously, our culture, and especially for the freshmen coming in who maybe haven't experienced that as much. Really just integrating them not only into the Nebraska culture, but also exposing them to new and different things. And I think that's really important, especially in our society today. Just to have your eyes wide open and know what's going on, and having that opportunity to learn from others who maybe have different experiences than you.
What did you learn from some of them, you know, as you're going through some of the other athletes? Because you played with a lot of girls that come from different backgrounds. What have you learned in all of that?
You know, I think that it's so interesting just playing with people from all over the U.S., all over the world, all different backgrounds. It really teaches you a lot and makes you really thankful for everything that you have, no matter how big or small it is.
You know, and another fact about you is how much you do in the community, and that you're involved, the number of service hours you put in. Why is that important to you, Mikaela?
You know, the community does so much for us, especially at Nebraska. I mean, we had a sellout streak of, wow, I can't even remember, so many games, way too many. And obviously it's not a few fans that are in the crowd, it's over 8,000 every single game. And just their ability to give to us is impeccable and amazing. And we have to be grateful for that and give back to them as well. And I just think that's super important to go out there and show that we appreciate everything that they do for us.
I was going to say, those crowds at Nebraska are just really special. Tell our viewers, what is it like, to play? And especially I love it because it's women's sports, and it's really at Nebraska it's a huge thing, and you sell out every night. What's it like to play in front of those gigantic crowds, and how much pressure is that, especially somebody coming from a small town in Iowa? Yeah,
it's honestly so hard to describe. I just thinking about it gives me the chills, and having that opportunity to play in front of 8,000 fans every single home game is amazing. And I wouldn't say it's nerve-wracking because all of them are cheering for us. I mean, it's 8,000 Husker fans, and they all want us to win and be as successful as possible. And so that's just something really cool. And just to hear the roar of that crowd is so exhilarating.
So volleyball is a sport in which, and it's not like it's like a lot of other sports in the fact that there are a lot of runs in it. And so you've been on both sides of it when you're running it up on somebody, but you've also been on the other side of it when, it just seems like we can't score a point. We can't get anything going right. How do you change that positive mindset in the middle of a game to say, we can turn this around?
Yeah, I think it's about coming together as a team, and we always talk about having tight team huddles and looking each other in the eye. And I think just coming in, having that tight huddle, looking each other in the eye and just taking a deep breath and resetting essentially, and then just focusing on that next point, because in the end, we can't be looking 4 points ahead. We need to be focusing on this point and the next point, and then just keep moving forward.
We've talked a lot about your college career, but now you're with Team USA, and you're getting a chance to play overseas and do some really cool things. Talk about that experience and what has changed for you as you've gone on to this next level.
Yeah, so this past year I spent my time in Italy playing in Florence professionally. It was a lot of fun, definitely different because hardly any of the girls and the coaches spoke English, and so I had to learn Italian, at least to a little bit of a degree.
Right.
And so that was definitely a challenge. And I think that for the most part, obviously the game's the same, but just having to adapt and adjust to being in a completely different culture with a different language can be difficult at times.
You know, you're a naturally positive person, it seems, but you know, there are a lot of people who come across as not very positive. Do you think it's a choice? Do you think people choose to be positive, or do you think you're just born with it?
I think maybe you're born with it to a degree, but also it's a choice you make every single day when you get up out of bed. How are you going to look at this day? Give it a positive outlook or a negative one, and if you can find the positive in everything, I think it shines a little bit more light on your day.
I always like to ask this question, Mikaela, is if you could go back and talk to Mikaela Foecke when she was a middle school kid, what would you tell her based upon your experiences and where you are now?
To dream bigger. I never thought I would be here or playing for USA or gone to Italy. I didn't even know this was a thing when I was 12. So I'd just say to dream as big as possible, because really the sky is your limit. And if you work as hard as you can achieve almost anything.
Well, and you have done that. Mikaela, thanks so much for spending time with us, and we wish you all the best. I'm sure that this summer did not go exactly the way you were planning, but we look forward to hopefully seeing you in Tokyo for the Olympics next year.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's been a great time.
I hope you enjoyed this week's episode with Mikaela Foecke, and we'll think about all the great advice she provided today. If you're interested in reading inspirational stories of other high school positive athletes, we'd love you to check out our new book, The Positive Athlete, 100 Inspirational Stories of High School Student Athletes. In the book, you'll hear stories of kids who've overcome mental and physical obstacles and have given back in unique ways to their schools and communities. You can find out more about the book on our website at positiveathlete.org. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you again next time on Lessons in Positivity.